Hello and welcome to a very special thrift store makeover where we will combine thrift store makeovery, because that's a word, along with art journaling as we alter this book, the ABCD book by the amazing Marion Bataille. Now what makes this very special is apparently this book is a viral book. This book went viral and is very popular. I didn't know that. I'm very sorry, Marion. I didn't know that. But when we went to a charity shop in St Andrews and we were looking around, my daughter was like, oh my goodness, it's the viral book. And I was like, oh, I could buy it and alter it. It has a pop-up letters. Oh my goodness. So my daughter is absolutely shocked that I could even consider altering this. But guess what? We're going to be naughty and we're going to do it. So let's go. So before we get into altering this book, I thought we could do a little flip through of it as is. So I was definitely very drawn to this. It was very interactive and it was just crying out to be altered. Some of the letters are broken, like this F should also become an E as you turn the page, so we might have to try and work things out. I'm not very good at the mechanics of things like that, so that could be interesting. But for the most part, everything works fine, and I think it's going to be really fun, interactive and challenging to create pages out of all of these. So this will be a mini series because we're not going to get the whole book done today. We'll see how many pages that we do get done, but we will have a play. I'd imagine that the overall series might take me about 6 or 7 episodes to do. So yeah, this is just a quick look through what we have, and this one's a bit strange. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with that one. This one's clever because the V turns into the W in the mirror, so we could have a lot of fun with that. And some of them pop up like that, like the Z you can't really see. So this is the book. I have decided that I am going to go for an Alice in Wonderland theme through the whole book. I don't know, it was just in my head. As soon as I saw the A, I thought Alice. And I have sort of brainstormed a prompt for every single letter apart from X and Y. So if anyone out there has any ideas of something that is Alice in Wonderland related that begins with X or Y, do please help me out. So there's a few things that'll probably go on most pages. For this one I didn't want the black, so I have whited it out using white gesso. I also have bought, I can't tell you how many editions of Alice in Wonderland I have bought with the purpose of altering or using as journals. So this is one of my Alice in Wonderland books. So I am sort of gel medium, that's a new word, using gel medium to pop down some of these pages. I think most of the pages that I will do will probably have a hint of that in the background. I think it will be a nice, interesting quirk. As always, once I have added pages into the book, I tend to use a little bit of white gesso on the edges just to kind of blend it all in. I didn't know what I was going to do with the pop-up letter, but while I had wet gesso on the page, I thought may as well add it to the A as well, because it means, you know, whatever I decide to do later on, we are good to go. So I've decided to add a little bit of colour. I have to say, with the pages that I did today, as I was starting, I really didn't have any direction as to where I was going. I just sort of played until an idea hit. So I put some of this green down, sprayed it around, then went in with a little bit of blue as well. I love these. These are inks, so they're acrylic inks, and what is really good about them is that once they dry, they don't reactivate with water, so you can tend to keep those bright colours. They won't muddy if you go on with anything else. Whilst that was drying, I decided that it would be cool to have the A in black, so I pretty much reversed what they had originally. They had a black background and a white A, and I have turned it into a black. I've just used my Artex marker because I thought that would be quick and easy, which it was, and it also meant there wasn't really any drying time, which was delightful. I do like my marker pens for that, although I have becoming more and more frustrated by them, as a lot of them seem quite dry, which I'm gutted at because these are my favourite acrylic markers because they have the brush nib, but I think I might have to explore other options. I decided to use this gorgeous Alice. This is from the Princess of Hearts collection. When I originally drew her, I drew her in pink, but I decided to do a blue option as well because she does look very Alice-y, and I thought it would be perfect for this page. So I just kind of fussy cut her out and then decided what direction that we would go in whilst doing this page. So I decided it would be really cool if I could actually get her onto the A, and then she would be part of the pop-up element. Now, once again, I forgot to press record. So I'm just kind of showing you, I use this rose trellis stencil and the Artex blue marker to get the roses in the background. Then I use this meadow stencil with green markers. Can't believe I did that, honestly. I think I'm on a timeline because I'm going away this weekend and I'm trying to get a couple of videos ahead so that there's still a regular video every Friday whilst I'm away. And in the rush, I'm focusing on what I'm doing instead of focusing on the filming, so I do apologise for that. But you can see the process here. I get a stencil and I draw through it. That's pretty much what I did with all the other elements with the roses as well. So I'm building up a little bit of a scene. This is Wonderland, I think, and Alice will be centre stage in the beginnings of her adventures in Wonderland. Don't know why this idea hit, but I'm really excited about it. Just wanted to deepen at the edges, so I get out some distress ink and go round at the edges. And as a background scene, I'm quite happy with how that looks. So I cut out a few more elements from the Princess of Hearts collection and try and work out how it's all going to lay together. Start off by sticking Alice down because I know exactly where I want her to be. I have to say that I have gone down the rabbit hole with this one. I tell you, trying to find prompts for all the different all the different letters. So yeah, pardon the pun, we've gone down the rabbit hole. I have done so much research on Alice and Lewis Carroll and all sorts of things, so I'm looking forward to sharing all those bits and pieces of information as we gradually do this project together. So as well as the hearts, I did have lots of mushrooms, but it was looking too busy. But I thought that this paper with a harlequin on it really popped, and it worked well with the fact that we've got the black A. So once I did that, I felt much happier with the overall composition. It seemed to frame it nicely. We've got our little playing card who is spilt some red paint, which I think is incredibly cute. So we have that down there as well. And I also have these little die cuts in spades and clubs. These were part of the Tea Time die collection. I don't think I have many of them left in stock. There might be one. I also just cut into the arm of this little card here so that his paint bucket is over the mushroom. So it took a little bit of fiddling, but I like the way that's layered. So yeah, I took these die cut pieces and coloured them in black. Why I pulled out the Copic instead of the black acrylic paint marker that we'd literally just used, I don't know, probably because I couldn't see it on my desk. My desk is such a mess. In fact, the whole studio's a mess, but we made pretty things, so it's all good. It's all good. We can fix the mess, the havoc later. So I colour these in black, ready to put on the page. And again, just stick all of that down together with our Nouveau glue. Once that was done, we are at doodly border time. So got out one of my Jane Davenport pens and I'm just creating a doodly border and connecting it with the frame of the paper that we had and turning those playing symbols into dangles. I also wanted the A to be a bit more emphasised, so I went around that with a blue pen and decided to use the sentiment Alice in Wonderland. Now in my head, originally I was going to have the A and then write out the L-I-C-E, but I just thought it was going to look like it said lice, and that bothered me. So instead I thought we'll just go with the full word. So we've got Alice in Wonderland. Now I used this from the same book that we got the paper from, and it was on a slight curve, so I kind of split it up a little bit to try and make it look less wonky donkey. Edged everything in black because it helps it pop. I had a little mark on Alice's dress which I was trying to cover, which is why I tried putting Alice over the dress, but then I realised as I was doing that that would be in the centre of the fold and affect the pop-up. So when I do actually go to glue it down, it does get moved over slightly. there we go, before and after of our first page in our pop-up book, and I love it. I'm just so excited about all the things to come. But let's do another page today. We have this bee. I like this. It sort of starts from a lowercase b and ends up into a uppercase. And once again, I am starting with sticking down some Alice papers. Now, this particular page was a mission. We put layer and layer and layer upon this page before inspiration strikes. I have to say, at this point, I really didn't know what I was doing. I knew that the word was going to be bonkers, because we're going through it. And I love the sentiment in Alice in Wonderland when the Hatter says to Alice, am I mad? And she says, you're entirely bonkers, but all the best people are. And I love that. Especially being my daughter's ADHD, I think I most likely have it as well. And just that sort of creative, wild, manic side, it's fun. It's like, embrace that. So I love that sentiment, hence why this page had to be saying bonkers. But how I was going to portray that, I don't know. So this is the case of trusting the creative process. Just by creating, gradually you get there, even if layers get covered up. So this is the down the hole rabbit stencil. I tried putting some ink through that. I tried adding the little elements using Artex markers. I quite like that when I'd lifted it up, but I still didn't know where I was going, so I abandoned that and decided to colour in the bee. I really liked the way the letter popped in our A page, so I did the exact same, came in with the Artex marker and coloured over that. The other thing about using the Artex paint marker is this book has been repaired. Whoever had it has broken the pages before it ended up in the charity shop, so there's like sellotape and all sorts of bits and pieces sticking it together, but the paint marker literally goes over everything and it looks just as black. You don't see the fact that there's a difference. I mean, you see a bit of texture difference, but the actual colourway all looks the same, so it is perfect for that. So I did the exact same, blacked it out like we did with the A. Also, the fact that the B moves out, I needed to kind of go underneath. This was a little bit tricky, and colour in there as well to make sure that however far it popped out, it would still look black. So I'm just double checking that it's all working okay. And then decide that I'm not really sure what I want to do with the background, but scene building tends to be my go-to, so I covered it in blue. You then see me doing the stenciling that we missed on the last page. Why bright yellow? I don't know. I really didn't know what I was doing with this page. So a lot of it does get covered. So is this a waste? In my opinion, no, because it was all part of a creative process. It was part of a creative journey. One decision leads to another decision, which sparks your creativity and you get there in the end. Also, even though a lot of this maybe gets covered up in the end, you can still see elements of it. I love it when you look at a page or a project and the more you look at it, the more you see. So once it's finished, a lot of this is covered over, but if you really look, it's still there, and I think that makes it intriguing and interesting. I was trying to create the same sort of black and white effect that we had on the first page, but this time doing it with stamps. Now obviously we are working in an incredibly textured book. All those pop-ups means it's not an even surface. So we got a very distressed version of that. Then I remembered I had this paper from the Curious Wonders paper pad, and that is where it all sort of turned around for me and I got on a lot better. I thought it would be really cool if off the back of the bee we had this scene, and this scene is bonkers. I mean, look at the houses. We've got a funny house with a teacup on the top, it's got a hat, we've got a cream tea, we've got a clock with, yeah, it's all just a bit mad. So I thought that really worked well for the whole bonkers theme. So I cut all of that out, but then the background was too busy, you weren't going to see that, so I gessoed a lot of it out so it would pop from the page. And I also cut the paper. Now I quite like kind of creating the fold with the paper normally, but because this book is so detailed with all of the pop out letters, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to affect any mechanisms in future. So I created a sort of cut line down the middle. So it is there, but I don't think it affects the overall scene. And then just neatened up the edges. So I also cut out more of this checkered paper and just filled out the bottom of it as well. Then I decided I needed to do some shadowing, so we got some Kuretake Gansei Tambis and put it in, and I really, really hated it at this point. I loved the lower half. I thought that looked really cool. It was really funky, but the top of it was just getting really messy, and it looked scratchy and uneven, and I just really, really was not happy with it at this point in time. So I took a step back, dried it off, and then tried to go over with my acrylic markers because I thought that would give it a nice even surface. Once again, my Artex ones let me down. They were dry, which is really annoying. I have heard that there's a tip that you can put like a drip of water in the top of the pen and it helps it flow. Not ideal, but I am willing to give it a try. But as of yet, I've not been able to get the top off. These markers that I end up using were the cheapest chip ones that I got off B&M Bargains. So I did like that, it did soften it, but it was a bit too dark, so I then went over with gesso because gesso is semi-transparent, and so I thought that would knock it back a little bit. It looks a lot better. I stepped away from it and decided to work on this bee part. Now I thought this world being completely bonkers and being a nod to Mad Hatter, I would put our Hattie in it, and I've attached her to the bee so that she actually pops out as you open the page. I write bonkers into the actual letter. My tip with this is just write it in your normal handwriting first. Don't worry about fancy lettering, and then go over it. So as I go over it, I sort of add little tabs at the end of the letters, little swirls, thicken it out in areas where it looks good thicker, so you don't have to worry about it. I can't do lettering, just write it out and you can, with a little jiggery pokery, you can make it work. So we have the sentiment down, which makes it work. I emphasise the actual letter B using my white gel pen and a little bit of doodles. Obviously hadn't stuck her down at that point, but she does get stuck down. We then decide to create some clouds, and yeah, I think it was because the background was just still looking a bit sketchy and patchy and I wasn't happy, so I thought maybe if I break it up with some clouds it would look better. So fussy cut these out, and then I give them a little bit of added colour so it's not too stark, using a little bit of distress ink. Once that's ready, I then just pop them into the page, and I just think it helps. Now I don't know if you can still see the diamond, you can still see tiny touches of yellow and the lettering if you look closely, so it is still there, and that's kind of what I was saying about my post earlier. So I do kind of wish I'd just kind of gone straight down with the blue, but my creative process doesn't work like that. I never have a plan, I just let the page take me where it wants to go. And that is my process. So sometimes we end up with lots of layers, but I love it at the end and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So as I said, this will be a series. We have the gorgeous A for Alice there. This will be a series, so please do consider liking and subscribing, as if you want to see the rest of this book altered, you'll get notified every time I pop a video up. And if you enjoy art journaling, you might want to check out this playlist right here.